So why I selected this topic? Because essentially I believe that everything we are talking about is about the core is digitalization. So right now there is a lot of paper-based processes, and we have to get rid of them and make everything digital, and only then we can actually benefit from smart contracts and a lot of exciting stuff that these guys are building. I'm also a cryptographer, but yeah, I'm not that deep as Vlad and Charles. So yeah, yeah. I will skip this slide. You know me already. So the question is how we can get to the digital economy in general. And some people believe that answer is blockchain, and they just say, "Oh, blockchain, blockchain here, blockchain there." Like every use case that you can, have an idea, people answer blockchain. There are on the internet you can find lists of use cases that blockchain can do. There are sometimes like hundreds of them, which sometimes like doesn't make sense. I will explain. I have a friend, and he is a professional bodybuilder, and he knows like everything about like anatomy, about chemistry, about like biology, and he's like participating in contests sometimes, and like obviously taking some like pills. And once he told me in his story, he said, I found a drug, and this drug is supposed to be like a very efficient fat remover, so you can get really like looking nice. And he said, I read the like prescription to this drug, and it said this is a very, very strong drug. In order to get rid of the effect and clean your body, you have to follow such like things. You have to run 2 hours per day. You have to drink 3 liters water per day, and you have to follow this diet. Yeah. And actually, this is what's happening when people say blockchain can help you. Because in order to implement blockchain, you have to obviously use cryptography. Otherwise, like how exactly? Digital signatures, you have to switch to this. You have to digitize all the processes inside your company. Because, yeah, blockchain obviously can't work with, papers, right? You have to establish uniform rules for participants, do transparent decision making, and manage, like if you want to trade simultaneously, like things, you have to issue them on the same platform, like what we see on Ethereum right now. All assets that are issued on the same platform can be managed by smart contracts. Assets that sit in different blockchains require much more complicated protocols. So if you just do these things, your IT systems will already become really good. And that's what actually banks are like financial institutions sometimes are very excited about blockchain, because for them it's an excuse to spend a lot of money on like the whole process again and again and again and get some money back. Yeah, obviously. And interesting numeration, right? That's all. That's Microsoft did that. So people believe in quite common myth that stem from the fact that people don't distinguish what blockchain is. Some people are still talking about Bitcoin blockchain when they try to explain to financial people what blockchain is in general. And then financial people start to believe that blockchain can do almost everything, like verify any data, allow instant transactions, it's immutable by default, it's already encrypted, and some people do believe that blockchain can get rid of your servers. I had such requests, like people say like, oh, we need to like cut costs. Yeah. So if you try to think what blockchain is, I remember last time we argued with Giacomo and we agreed on some definition that not exact wording, but very similar for people from business to understand what blockchain is. Basically, it's a mechanism to reach consensus between parties that don't trust each other, that parties may not be people, could be organizations or just computers, and they have to reach consensus about some database, a ledger. And this ledger usually should contain some like scarce assets. So when you have this situation, the blockchain usage may actually make sense. If you don't have this, that's probably, you don't need it. Then people like started to talk about tokenization a lot. Like right now, like every startup wants to tokenize like everything. like just everything. And sometimes people believe that, again, the token and tokenization is something like it's a pill that you can take and transform your assets in a very liquid form that everybody can trade, everybody can buy. Like ICO make people believe this, because as soon as they start to do an ICO, people are buying these tokens. And if they want to just get investment, investors are not that ready to invest in a company. And that makes people believe that tokenization is something interesting. And obviously there could be many roles of a token, like a functionality the token can execute. In most cases, it's like these three: currency, digital assets, and stock in a company. And there are some other ways how it can be used, like whether to reward users, prevent attacks, or just doing accounting, and way to pay fees. And it's funny that startups that do ICO right now, sometimes they, like I read a white paper of Civic, for example, and then I actually asked Vinny about how he structured the token from legal perspective. And in a white paper, it's a currency. In the way how he structured it from legal perspective, it's an API call, which means this, like accounting of something. So it's a big difference. And later on, it could be not that funny, because regulators will come and say, wait, like you sold actually this, but you pretended that's this. Or you sold this, but you pretended it's just whatever way to prevent attacks. That's why Ripple had problems as well, because the definition of XRP was not really clear. Like nobody knows what is a token, because actually token in a kind of an ideal case, I will provide an example, represents something like stock plus money plus some means of accounting. And it's not really a stock, because you can't really vote and change directors with that. In most startups, you can't replace Vitalik, right? With your Ether. Yeah, and you obviously can't replace Satoshi because he's gone somewhere. Maybe he's in Odessa, it's a nice place. It's not really money because you can't lend it. And it's not really an accounting item unless you have full infrastructure of connecting your internal accounting systems, like your warehouse system, to a token that you have. So it's something in between, and probably it will be viewed like a foreign currency. And all the blockchain economies will be viewed like virtual states, probably. So the ideal use case of a token, like it's an example of ideal token design. It's a game. It's like World of Warcraft, whatever. I never played. Just played Civilization, yeah. But every game contains like a digital gold. And if we assume that the developer of a game created a decentralized version of it, where all the players have these nodes that contain like all the game engine, plus blockchain that accounts gold. And then all the transactions, let's say people exchange shields or guns in a game, they should pay a small fee in gold, in internal gold. And this gold basically becomes an internal currency, and it is possible for a game developer to create an own account where all these fees will be collected. So that will be like a profit of a company which has no servers, no legal structure, no jurisdiction, so and fully decentralized, and nobody can actually steal gold and generate them out of thin air. And if this developer issues tokens that represent a share of these fees collected in a game, that will become basically a stock. And then the developer can sell this stock to investors, and everything will be fine. Again, investors will be happy, nobody can fool them, and game developer is happy, he's getting profits, and So that's a perfect token design. I don't know any attempt from regulators that want to tell how to define this economy, but we will definitely see. That's an ultimate use case, and it's actually quite good.
Do you know someone who is doing it?
No. Games? Yeah, there are some. So the next question, if you want to issue a token, how to do that? And actually, if you want to do it in a legal, like a compliant way, you have to follow these procedures. So you have to actually define what it is, because you can't really just say long term that it's an API call or it's a whatever magic token that is needed in the system. Then you have to establish a company that can issue these assets. Like in a very general case, if it's a stock, then you have to go to depository and issue stocks. And you have to find a company that will do KYC, accept money for you, because they're usually different license. Find an exchange that has a right to trade. Yeah, it's also regulated activity. Created like a registry of investors. Create a wallet, and wallet basically is connected to all these organization. Then it's a good way, and it makes sense, and that will be like that. And I believe that the value of tokenization is actually in updating of infrastructure. So as soon as your whole infrastructure of issuance, trading, registering is updated and it's all digital, it will just happen faster. Like, so where to issue a token? So that's an important question, and I won't answer all of that, but obviously, if you select some system, whether Bitcoin, Ethereum, or some consortium blockchain, there are many questions that have to be addressed, like who is, from regulation perspective. So now countries like Delaware just almost signed a bill that says we will be allowing trading of stocks on blockchain. So nobody knows which blockchain. What does it mean? Who is responsible for loss? Who is responsible for fork? What if Vitalik wants to do another fork, whatever? So if it's a private one, exactly who is involved in validation, and yeah, which consensus? These are all important questions. And when we were working on the decentralized auction in Ukraine, actually that's where we stopped, because no lawyer can actually come up with the clear description of risks in a decentralized system yet. So the future, I don't know what the future will be. Just put here some questions that needs to be considered in the future, like whether we will have a global currency or local currencies. Will stocks really become money again? They used to be money, and now with digitalization they might become again. Will barter reappear when people actually exchange goods directly? If you assume that the whole economy is digital, so all like laptops, shoes, roof is digitized on warehouses, and you can actually trade them and find the path for payment. That was an original Ripple idea. Then probably barter can reappear in some jurisdictions. And yeah, probably financial infrastructure can become a commodity when people just use it as it is and without thinking about that. Issuing of assets and smart contracts, how exactly they can work. So these are open questions. The community should work on that, and we all need to think. Thank you very much.